Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a crucial topic that's making headlines worldwide, the impact of Western sanctions on Russia. And we have an important and detailed discussion ahead, so make sure to stick around for the full 7 minutes. Let's begin with the first fact. Who has been impacted by these Western sanctions in Russia? Well, it's not just a single group, it's widespread. The sanctions have affected businesses, government officials, and ordinary citizens. But let's dig deeper into the specifics. The sanctions imposed on Russia have brought about substantial consequences across various segments of society. Russian businesses in particular have experienced a significant impact as they face restricted access to Western markets, resulting in reduced revenue and hindering their international expansion efforts. Some companies have managed to adapt to these limitations by reorganizing subsidiaries, adjusting supply chains, or seeking government support. However, specific sectors of the Russian economy, like steel, coal, and processed wood, have borne the brunt of these sanctions. Government officials, including those with close ties to the Kremlin, have not been spared either, as they have faced asset freezes and travel bans. These sanctions are part of a broader strategy aimed at targeting both the key sectors of the Russian economy and its political elite. For ordinary citizens, the repercussions of these sanctions have translated into tangible difficulties. They have experienced the impact through rising prices, currency devaluation, and a less stable overall economy. This is further exacerbated by the fact that the Russian economy contracted by 2.1% in 2022, with predictions of continued shrinkage in 2023. This economic downturn may lead to budget cuts in essential areas such as schools and hospitals, thus adversely affecting the lives of everyday people. It's important to acknowledge that while these sanctions have had substantial effects, they have not, as of yet, led to an economic collapse or significant political instability in Russia. The situation remains in a state of evolution and will continue to be influenced by future geopolitical events and policy decisions. The effects of sanctions on daily life in Russia are indeed significant and wide-ranging, creating a complex and multifaceted impact on the daily lives of ordinary citizens. These sanctions, imposed by various Western countries, have triggered a series of interconnected consequences that stretch far beyond the immediate political sphere. Rising prices. One of the most palpable consequences of these sanctions is the sharp increase in the cost of everyday products. Import restrictions and the devaluation of the ruble have made essential items such as food and electronics considerably more expensive. For the average Russian family, this means that their purchasing power has dwindled, making it challenging to maintain their previous standard of living. Economic uncertainty. The instability in the Russian economy caused by sanctions can lead to widespread economic uncertainty. This uncertainty in turn can result in job cuts and financial insecurity for many people. Businesses, both large and small, may struggle to stay afloat, leading to layoffs and a reduction in job opportunities. This scenario exacerbates the financial strain on families and individuals, causing heightened anxiety about the future. Limited access to foreign goods. Sanctions have significantly curtailed the availability of Western products and services in Russia. This limitation not only affects consumer goods but also impacts various industries, from technology to medicine. Russians are finding it increasingly difficult to access the latest Western innovations in medical treatments, which can have long-term implications for their well-being and technological advancement. Strain on social and cultural exchange. Sanctions have also put a strain on cultural and social exchange between Russia and Western countries. Exchange programs, academic collaborations, and cultural events have been disrupted or canceled, limiting the exposure of Russian citizens to diverse perspectives and ideas. This isolation can have lasting effects on their worldview and intellectual growth. Dampening of international travel. International sanctions often lead to travel restrictions, making it harder for Russians to explore the world. As opportunities to travel abroad diminish, the chance to experience different cultures, broaden horizons, and engage in international diplomacy is increasingly limited. Let's move on to fact number 3. When were these sanctions imposed? The sanctions imposed on Russia trace their origins back to the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Since then, they have undergone multiple expansions and revisions in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine and alleged interference in the affairs of other countries. For instance, the Canadian government has consistently updated its regulations on sanctions against Russia, spanning from March 19, 2014 to August 22, 2023. The most recent wave of sanctions represents the most severe measures yet, with the aim of restricting conventional trade and financial relationships with Russia, targeting Russian oligarchs who support President Vladimir Putin, and potentially causing significant economic repercussions for Russia. The full impact of these sanctions on the Russian economy is still unfolding, making it a fluid and evolving situation. As new sanctions are announced, this timeline will be continuously updated to reflect the dynamic nature of the geopolitical events surrounding this complex issue. Now let's answer the important question of why countries like the United States have imposed sanctions on Russia and what they hope to achieve. The United States implemented sanctions on Russia for a range of compelling reasons. These actions were taken to hold Russia accountable for its various disruptive and unacceptable conduct, with the aim of imposing costs on the Russian government and limiting its ability to finance its activities. The key reasons for these sanctions include invasion of Ukraine. The 2014 invasion of Ukraine by Russia prompted sanctions as a response to this violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. Cyber activities and influence operations. Sanctions were imposed due to Russia's involvement in malicious cyber activities and its attempts to influence the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Human rights abuses. Sanctions were enforced in response to human rights abuses within Russia. Use of a chemical weapon. The use of a chemical weapon by Russia led to the imposition of sanctions. Weapons proliferation. Sanctions were applied because of Russia's involvement in weapons proliferation. Illicit trade with North Korea. Russia's illicit trade with North Korea resulted in sanctions. Support to the governments of Syria and Venezuela. Sanctions were implemented due to Russia's support for the governments of Syria and Venezuela. Use of energy exports as a coercive or political tool. Russia's use of energy exports as a coercive or political tool led to sanctions. These sanctions represent a multifaceted response to various actions by Russia, encompassing political, economic, and security-related concerns, and are part of a broader effort to address Russia's behavior on the international stage. And finally, let's talk about how some of the people we've interviewed in Russia are reacting to these sanctions. It's interesting to hear the diverse reactions from the Russian people. The sanctions imposed on a country can indeed have varying impacts on its citizens. Some people feel frustrated as they believe they are being unfairly punished for the actions of their government. Others, while understanding the reasons behind the sanctions, are concerned about the economic impact on their daily lives. And then there are those who support the sanctions, viewing them as a necessary response to their government's actions. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, and these differing perspectives highlight that complexity. In conclusion, the impact of Western sanctions on Russia is far-reaching, affecting businesses, officials, and everyday citizens. The sanctions were first imposed in 2014 and have since been escalated in response to Russia's actions. The goal is to pressure Russia to change its behavior, but the consequences on ordinary people are undeniable. Thank you for joining us in this in-depth discussion of the impact of Western sanctions on Russia. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on important global topics. And as always, please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments section below. We'll be back soon with more detailed insights on current events.